नमस्कार, सत श्री अकाल, राम राम सा कमाणी वणक्कम प्रणाम। आप सभी का ऑल्टरनेट मीडिया में फिर से स्वागत है। हमारे साथ जुड़े हुए एयर मार्शल जीएस बेदी जी। इस वक्त हॉर्मूज में गतिविधियां बढ़ गई हैं। कल रात को ट्रंप की क्राइसिस काउंसिल के साथ एक बड़ी खुफिया मीटिंग थी, जिसके डिटेल्स अभी हम लोग वेट करें कि भाई क्या है, उसका क्या रिजल्ट निकल कर आएगा। इट इज नॉट आउट इन पब्लिक, बट इन द मीन वाइल दोवल जी हैज रीच्ड रियाद। दोवल जी जाते हैं तो अलग ही अपना उनका एजेंडा रहता है, मोर रिलेटेड टू सेफ्टी सिक्योरिटी रादर देन रिलेटेड टू इकोनॉमिक्स। इस्लामाबाद पीस टॉक पे बुआ जी और फूफा जी रूठने वाले कुछ एक सीन्स स्टार्ट हो चुके हैं, अगर मैं उसको लाइट अप पर्सपेक्टिव में रखूं, बट यस इट्स हैपनिंग। एंड यूएई ने पहली बार यूएस को एक बहुत बड़ा झटका दिया है। Now these things are happening very fast. इंडिया बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाता है, क्योंकि इंडिया इज भारत इज ऑल्सो पार्ट ऑफ बैकग्राउंड डील्स, जहां पर इनको सबको इकट्ठा करके सोल्यूशन निकालने की कोशिश की जा रही है। ईरान के ऊपर आज मैंने एक वीडियो भी किया है, उससे आपको समझ में आ जाएगा कि वो हमारे कितनी दोस्ती यारी है उनके साथ में, उनके पहले की एक्टिविटीज से भी। सर, अ वेरी वार्म वेलकम ऑन द शो। अभी लेटेस्ट क्या हो रहा है स्ट्रेट ऑफ हॉर्मूज में? जी सर।
Namaskar, Gayatri ji, to you and your viewers. Always a pleasure to be here. Quickly, we will sum up that what is happening in Hormuz. Hormuz, if you see on the map, it looks very insignificant place. I don't think many people paid attention to where it was till this whole crisis broke out. पर वो क्या है कि ये Hormuz is like your throat. Okay, if the throat tightens, then it shows its effect not only locally but on the entire body. That is what is happening. We know how much oil and energy passes through it. But अब उसमें condition, in my opinion, what has become is no more about ships moving through it. It has become more of a signaling. ईरान ने बंद किया पहले, फिर यूएस ने बोला खोलो, फिर यूएस ने ब्लॉकेट किया। अब तकरीबन एक फुल कैरियर टास्क फोर्स है वहां पे, 15 वॉरशिप्स हैं, तकरीबन 10,000 पीपल हैं। और अब ये हालत हो गई है that people are wanting to show a signal that who controls that place. जैसे एक एरिया में people move that who has control. ये इलाका मेरा है, ये इलाका उसका है. It has become that kind of thing. And why it is important, in my opinion, Hormuz is not the disease anymore. It is just a symptom, and we need to be worried about it because it is just one point. And there are 7 similar choke points in the entire world. If you see Hormuz hai that the Houthis जो कंट्रोल करना चाह रहे हैं, फिर स्ट्रेट ऑफ मलाकास है, सुंडा स्ट्रेट है, पनामा कैनाल है, स्वेज कैनाल है, टर्किश स्ट्रेट है. सो व्हाट हैपेंस इज, अगर ये नॉर्मलिटी सेट हो जाती है कि भाई आप कोई भी चोक पॉइंट कंट्रोल कर लो, तो यू कैन डिसरप्ट द होल एनर्जी सप्लाई, यू कैन ब्रिंग द होल ऑपरेशंस टू रैंसम. तो ये बहुत मुश्किल है, ये बहुत वरीसम बात है. तो इसमें फोर्सेस क्या प्ले कर रही हैं? इन माय, इट इज नॉट डायरेक्टली मिलिट्री एक्शन. यू सी देयर इज सो मच अनसर्टेनिटी व्हिच हैज कम अप in that whole state. जब शिप मूव करते हैं commercially, people need certainty. They want trust. Loaded ship with so much of goods, वो जो ट्रेडर है उसको श्योरिटी चाहिए कि ये क्रॉस कर जाएगा. अब क्या हो रहा है कि नॉर्मेलिटी पे ट्रस्ट नहीं रहा है. अभी लेट्स से दोनों लोग बोलते हैं कि भाई ये ओपन है, हाँ हम ओपन कर रहे हैं. अरे किसी को पता नहीं है कि नेक्स्ट 6 घंटे में क्या हो जाएगा. somebody fires a drone, somebody fires a missile, somebody hits a ship, and the situation changes and you're stuck halfway now. Will people take the chance? What are the forces at play? It's a very, very deep game. In my opinion, it's affecting economy. Insurance prices are going up. People are if the ships start moving tomorrow under escorts or under military shadow, it provides it a different complexion altogether. So now we have to watch it more from military point of view, from economy point of view, that who exactly is calling shots here, and is the objective only kind of military controlling or what US wants in Iran, or it's acquired some different dimensions altogether.
तो सर अभी ये सारा ये तो कॉन्टेक्स्ट हो गया कि अभी क्या हो रहा है. बाय द वे, ईरान ने हमारे 2 शिप्स पे अटैक किया था इन द मीन वाइल.
Yes.
जी, 3 दिन पहले की न्यूज़ है। सर दोवल जी रियाद गए हुए हैं। व्हाट इज़ द पर्पस ऑफ हिज विजिट?
See, I think when Mr. Doval or the NSA visits a country, it's not a courtesy meeting. You know, it has to have a very, very बहुत strategic significance होगी उसकी. और इंडिया के लिए रिpercussions बड़ी स्ट्रांग हैं. इंडिया क्या है, एनर्जी तो चाहिए ही, एनर्जी सिक्योरिटी है, इसमें कोई डाउट नहीं है. बट इंडिया का जो टाइमिंग है वेरी क्रिटिकल है. अब अगर मैं बोलूं कि लेट से बारिश होना या किसी कैलेमिटी का आना, बारिश इज नॉट फ्रॉम कैलेमिटी पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू इन द सेंस के गीले हो जाना, उस हिसाब से दैट इट इज बैड फॉर मी. But if I have nothing important to do, then it can come and pass. The crisis will pass. But let's say I have a very important activity tied up to it, then it's going to create me disproportional discomfort. अब इंडिया का क्या है, इंडिया इज एट द थ्रेशोल्ड ऑफ प्रोग्रेस. इंडिया ने अनाउंस किया है विकसित भारत है 2047, हमारी इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन ग्रो कर रही है, वी आर ट्राइंग ऑन आत्मनिर्भरता, वी आर ट्राइंग सो मेनी प्रोजेक्ट्स. अब इस सारी बैकग्राउंड में अगर आपको एनर्जी सिक्योरिटी पे इशू आते हैं तो इट्स नॉट ए नॉर्मल टाइमिंग. तो टाइमिंग इज इंपॉर्टेंट. उस टाइमिंग को ध्यान में रखते हुए आई थिंक अगर देखा जाए ये एनएससी की विजिट है, आई थिंक इट मस्ट बी टू एक्सप्लोर ऑल्टरनेट रूट्स. पाइपलाइंस, सऊदी की पाइपलाइंस हैं, यूएई की पाइपलाइंस हैं in that region, and to give them an indication that listen, we are balanced people, we are not swaying from one side to another, and we do have our energy security in mind, and the strategic calculation is very, very clear that we will go with the normal approach and with balanced approach. I think this must be the message which would require to be conveyed personally to Gulf countries, and hence the importance of NSA's visit, in my opinion.
So he has gone for alternate security means rather than any other purpose, security or.
See, you can only guess unless you are sitting in the meeting. It's very difficult to say that what did he discuss. But the point is, you can make an intelligent guess. My point is that there is, okay, let's say Hormuz stays blocked and we are suffering, and precisely what you said, Indian ships were attacked, and there was a news item that where the Indian ship transmitted, you only allowed me to go and now you're firing at me, quote unquote. I mean, this is the transmission from the ship. Imagine this uncertainty. Now, if this has happened once, who exactly is going to take chance के मेरे ship सब space से गुजर जाएं? और अगर वो नहीं गुजर रहे और stuck होते हैं, तो कुछ तो alternate ढूंढना पड़ेगा ना. तो I believe that could be one of the reasons that इससे ज़्यादा what is the deep strategic thought, अगर वो ऐसे ही guess कर ली जाए तो फिर I think national security advisors levels, deep meetings, etc. will lose their meaning. I mean, if you can sitting here just guess that, but you can make an intelligent guess, like I said.
जी सर, रियाद के साथ हमारे पीछे कुछ टाइम से बहुत खट्टे मीठे रिलेशंस चल रहे हैं, और उस बीच में दोवल जी का जाना सऊदी
नहीं,
अरेबिया
ये कॉन्टेक्स्ट में होता है. Let me tell you, there is a famous saying in geopolitics or otherwise that there are no permanent friends or permanent enemies. There are only permanent interests, and the nations understand it very well. जो आप खट्टे मीठे की बात कर रही हैं रिलेशंस की, it could be in a different context, but when the context changes, your relations change, because now what is at stake becomes more important. You see, what is relation, अभी आपके इंट्रोडक्शन में आपने UAE की बात की, okay, maybe we'll talk about it, but the fact is it is Gulf country. Iran has attacked UAE, and still UAE is not threatening, I mean calling out US, okay, listen, do something, otherwise we will start trading in yuan. I mean, who should it be generally aggrieved with, Iran or US? So somewhere this geopolitics is very, very complicated. So जो पुराने relations रहे हैं सऊदी अरेबिया के साथ, maybe with different context, अब ये context change हो गया है, and collective security is at stake. So I think these things matter and they can change. That is what diplomacy is all about.
My apologies, sir. Because सऊदी अरेबिया अचानक से पाकिस्तान की साइड पे मुड़ गया था और यूएई भारत की तरफ कदम बढ़ाने लग गया था, तो उस बीच में दोवल जी का रियाद जाना तो थोड़ा सा तो
बिल्कुल. See, what happens is we don't want to jump the gun, because what happens is it's very tempting to make astrological predictions के ये होगा and to say कि या मेरे को पता है ये होगा, but the fact is नहीं पता है. Saudi Arabia and Pakistan, because they did that pact, that NATO Article 5 type pact, attack on any nation will be considered attack on another nation, etc. So that probably appeared to bring them closer. Okay, but credibility of Pakistan is a different issue altogether. There is a huge difference between credibility of India and credibility of Pakistan. I am not sure if someone has to choose a mature country has to choose between the two. I don't think it's a very hard choice to make as far as national canvas is concerned.
जी सर, इस्लामाबाद पीस टॉक, यूएस और ईरान इस वक्त दोनों अपनी अलग-अलग कंडीशंस के साथ बैठे हुए हैं. जी.
See, Pakistan has got an opportunity. You see, Pakistan is trying to portray itself as a facilitator of talks, not just negotiator. And it is, let's face it, that it has a working relationship within USA, with USA and Tehran. It can talk to both the people, right? So USA has found a kind of bridge. When, let's say, you got to cross some water body, there is no bridge, there is ramp. I mean, you will use whatever is available, which makes you cross that hurdle. So now what happens is, so that is where Pakistan portrayed itself. Now, even now, I believe yesterday the Prime Minister has jumped in. He says that, okay, if it's not working out at the level of Field Marshal Asim Munir, then even Prime Minister is ready to jump. Okay, Mr. Trump indicated that he will, also fly down to Islamabad if something seems visible, etc. And now, my thing is that imagine what is at stake for Islamabad, that if this peace talks happen for some reason in Islamabad and turn out to be a success, I think Pakistan will portray it as an Islamabad declaration for years to come. It will portray that, okay, this is what we saved the entire world from World War III, probably, or something like that. I mean, what happens there is a different issue altogether. That is why I think Pakistan is going head over heels that somehow it should be able to break this deal. But what happens is, you need credibility. Negotiator does not mean that you provide a meeting room, you provide some mics, or you provide some translators. That is not the idea of facilitator. Facilitator is supposed to have not only working relationship between the two negotiators, it should have influence over the two negotiators. Let's say as a proxy, when US negotiates between two countries, it probably would have influence over both countries. I don't think Pakistan has influence over Iran or over US. It is just a mediator which is making these two people talk as a conduit kind of thing. But what USA will do, it will play on its own terms, and Iran will play on its own term. As of now, I don't know what is the latest, you would know. But Iran has de facto refused that, we will join the talks. And there is a statement, I think, from US that talks may be delayed by a day instead of, 20th, maybe 21st. So how it plays out, how individual demands are met, that will purely depend on US and Iran. In my opinion, I don't think Pakistan can influence their decisions. Can Pakistan tell US कि अच्छा नहीं आप दो डिमांड ये छोड़ दो, and tell Tehran कि नहीं आप दो डिमांड ये छोड़ दो? I don't think it's in a position to do that. Right?
Sir, ईरान किस बात पे अटका हुआ है? What do they want?
See, Iran wants के no more, subsequently USA says कि भाई वो आप न्यूक्लियर वो मेरे हवाले कर दो, 440 किलो जो यूरेनियम आपका enriched uranium है. And it also said that, we have demolished that whole thing where it is stored, and we will just very soon collect that atomic dust. Okay. Now, Iran probably is saying that, whatever conditions of USA are not acceptable to me. I think Iran's single point agenda that whatever US is saying is not acceptable to me. We want, control in this regime. We want no attack by US in the days to come, etc. Which 15-point agenda and their 10-point agenda, I think it's widely available. But now the choke point is that they don't trust each other. I mean, when they meet second time, the basic question is that do they trust each other, that okay, I will say something and the other side will agree, and vice versa. They are, in negotiations, there is a saying that when both sides are a little unhappy, that is the most successful negotiation, because then interest of both the parties are looked after. The other party feels that, I have got best, and the other party feels I have got best, but something both have to leave. But I don't think in the current condition where it is not a question of negotiation, it is more question of prowess or more question of ego. So leaving any agenda item will not be on the cards, which I think is going to be a very hard thing to achieve.
They also want the नाकेबंदी जो अभी यूएस ने कर दी उस एरिया में, उसको भी हटाने के लिए
वो तो है,
सर
that is a given thing, that US blockade, it came as a surprise to everyone that, now you say that Iran should lift up, and Iran actually lifted the ban, and now you went and targeted an Iranian ship and took it in custody, in fact. So you're saying now that, okay, open Hormuz was not the agenda. Agenda was who controls Hormuz. We will not allow Iran to control Hormuz. Instead, we will control Hormuz. So it's a very sticky point, I suppose.
Sir, last but very important, UAE ने पहली बार धमकी दी है यूएस को, and this is very critical to their survival. जी.
Yeah. See, I think if I read again objectively,
क्या
ये
धमकी
क्या है
दी
और
है?
क्यों है, या क्या धमकी दी है कि what he said कि we will start trading in yuan, correct, if you don't dollars, because now dollars क्या है कि you're supposed to earn dollars. How do you gather foreign exchange? World over, the trade happens in dollars. Your energy supply, etc. Every country, dollar is a common currency. So even every country is supposed to gather foreign exchange or have a foreign exchange reserve, which is essentially in dollars. Now, if the trade does not happen, if you are unable to earn dollars, then where are you going to get dollars from? And if you don't have dollars, then how are you going to trade? And now UAE knows that with which currency can I threaten US? The only competitor is China. But I suppose it's not only that it is said that we will start trading in yuan. I think it's asking for swap deal, dollar swap deal. You understand swap deal? Let me take a minute to explain. Swap deal is that, okay, today I don't have dollars. I give my currency. Let's talk, rather than UAE, we talk in Indian context. Let's say India was to enter a swap deal with US. Then I will say that, okay, I give you so many billion rupees. In exchange of that, you give me so many dollars, just a bank exchange, central bank of one country and central bank of another country, US for that matter. They just exchange the dollar, and that exchange rate remains fixed. What is, should I say, indifferent to any exchange rate ratios which change subsequently. And whenever I ease off or whenever I become comfortable, then I return those money dollars to US and get my rupees back. So this is what UAE has also asked US, that either do a swap deal with me. It well could be a pressure tactics to get the swap deal from US, or they say we will start dealing with yuan. Now, how much yuan will be acceptable to rest of the world needs to be seen. But the fact is, yes, threat could be potent, because if UAE does, you see, all these things in geopolitics, like I said, that, they are not disease, they are symptoms. If one country starts and you dismiss it, that, oh, UAE doesn't really matter, and UAE ko dekh ke another country starts, and then another country starts, then it will become worrisome. But I think, again, in my opinion, USA will not let that happen. It will probably ease off the situation by doing some kind of swap deal with UAE. I mean, this is purely my understanding as of now.
Thank you so much, sir. Looks like US is losing all its allies very fast. Europe, UK, NATO, everybody, हर कोई उनको छोड़ के जा रहा है. And UAE की धमकी.
Yeah. See, it is because you're not behaving like ally. कहने को ally है, but you want them under your thumb. They said, oh, you're useless. Oh, you did nothing. Oh, I don't want you. Oh, you stay off. I mean, that kind of language, if anyone uses, after all, they are individual countries. They have their own entity. They also have national pride. So any country, howsoever big it may be, cannot treat them like second fiddles. I think this is what is not going well with the people.
जी, थैंक यू सो मच सर फॉर ज्वाइनिंग. जाने से पहले सभी व्यूअर्स से रिक्वेस्ट है, प्लीज डोंट फॉरगेट टू लाइक, सब्सक्राइब एंड शेयर द ऑल्टरनेट मीडिया. अगर आप मुझे कंट्रीब्यूट करना चाहते हैं, सपोर्ट करना चाहते हैं, तो आप दिए हुए नंबर और यूपीआई पे सपोर्ट कर सकते हैं. आप मुझसे जुड़ना चाहते हैं, इन्फॉर्मेशन शेयर करना चाहते हैं, तो सभी लिंक्स डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स में. इसी के साथ जय हिंद, जय श्री राम, हर हर महादेव. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.